No Matter What, written and narrated by the fictional writer. Chapter 1, Hearthwarming Eve. It was a cold and crisp Hearthwarming Eve one morning long ago. The snow was as fresh as ever. It was soft, powdery, and gave a satisfying crush with each step through the snowfall. Across a snow-covered field blew a gentle breeze, flowing ever so calmly to the song of winter just above an untouched layer of shining white. The flushed snow gave bliss to a soundscape, a perfect silence for such a picturesque morning. The excited sounds of two colts dancing through the snow, leaving a path of parted snow behind them, broke the stillness. Keep up, keep up! The young Pegasus called out ahead of his earth pony friend as his wings fluttered to keep him just above the snow. I'm trying. I can't fly like you, Sky. The earth colt called back to the Pegasus, chasing after him through the snow high enough to cover his legs. Just off the edge of town, they played freely in the snow. Today had been the perfect day for such a time of joy. School had been canceled today in advance for hearthwarming. It was just too nice out for that stuffy old classroom anyway. They hopped through the powdery snow, leaving lines all the way back home. But they called back and forth to each other with laughs, like the songs that only made the holidays so much more beautiful than it already was. Far into the snow-covered meadow they traveled, till they were below a cresting hill just at the very edge of where they were allowed. They met together and struck each other with a knowing smile, only to run off in the other direction, reaching a point and quickly building snow walls and piling up snowballs. A war had begun in that gleaming pasture. A war of a great snowball fight. They launched snowball after snowball at each other, missing shots pattering the ground all around them as some managed to hit each other's defensive walls. Using the high snow as cover, they skittered from to and fro, throwing shots in between with all their might. Even as laughs crossed no man's land, they called back to each other, sending taunts as well as snow, hoping to be today's champion of ice. The Pegasus had a grand idea to snatch away today's prize. He rose up with a flutter, sending several snowballs down at the Earth Colt, plopping holes into the defenses. The Earth Colt quickly thought about how he could turn the tide. He got it. By sending a big wave of snow, there was no way he could miss. Thus, between reloads, he positioned himself on his forelegs and bucked with all of his might precisely at that moment, sending a huge wave of snow towards the Pegasus. But it wasn't enough. As the Earth Colt felt a snowball land directly at the back of his head, it cost him the championship. Oh man, cried the Colt. My big attack didn't get you? The Earth Pegasus laughed, shaking his head as he fluttered down beside the Earth Pony. No way, it didn't even come close. The Earth Colt huffed, brushing snow out of his mane. Well, it shoulda. I'll beat you tomorrow, I know it. Not a chance. What's next, Coco? Snow pony building? I won't beat you this time, 'cause I actually practiced. He fluttered around the Earth Pony, ready for the next game. You're on, shouted the Earth Pony as he raced to get started, the two colts quickly rolling up growing snowballs. As the colts went head-to-head once again, two older mares watched them play in the glistening snow field from the cozy warmth of a lovely little cabin, together sipping on the satisfying heat of hot chocolate. Those two never cease to amaze me with how quickly they'll jump from one game to another, the Earth Pony mare said with a soft chuckle. Oh, we were just as bad, weren't we? The snow always brought out that playfulness, said the Pegasus mare. The Earth mare shook her head playfully. Oh, we were never that bad, were we? As if on cue, a crash sounded through the house, originating from the attic. The mares broke out together in laughter. "We're fine. Nothing broke. Jinx!" The voices of two stallions called down at the same time, matching each other's voice before descending into a small squabble about who said what first. "Oh, I know where they got it," said the Earth Mare through a shared laugh with the Pegasus. The two stallions carefully stepped down the folding ladder from the attic, and together they hauled down a box holding plenty of gifts wrapped up just for the holidays. "Oh, I know the colts are gonna love this year," said the Earth Mare. "Exactly. Now, I know Little Hot Chocolate has been sick this year, so why not make it the best, huh?" said the Pegasus Stallion with excitement in his voice. "I think the boys will love a heartwarming together. Maybe we can even get the town to pitch in for a big party this year, yeah?" suggested the Earth Stallion. "Oh, we could even make it a game for the boys, one of their co-op thingies, and have them go around town for every pony to spread the cheer," said the Pegasus Mare. "Isn't it a little last minute? I mean, it's a great idea, but it's also Hearthwarming Eve," said the Earth Mare. "No, that makes it better," replied the Earth Stallion. "They'll see it as a timer, you know? Little challenge before the big end in their game." They all chuckled and agreed on sending the boys out on a grand quest to the town together just in time for hearthwarming. The adults knew it'd be an easy endeavor. The town was small, and every pony had foals of their own, so it could be a grand celebration for this quaint little town. But the boys would see it as this grand quest for the holidays, one to make it as good as it can get. It was the perfect idea. The Colts finished their grand tournament of games, with the Pegasus Colt winning ever so slightly this day. As they made their way back to the house, the sun followed them down, basking in the white snow in a golden shade. Awaiting them outside the cabin was Sky's father, the Pegasus Stallion. "Hey boys, I've got a game for you two to end the night with, and you get to stay out late." The Colts looked at each other and smiled, saying in unison, "What is it?" The stallion chuckled and raised a hoof. "Tomorrow's hearthwarming, right? And I've got a plan laid out to make it the best day ever. What do you two say? Down for a grand quest?" The two colts stood there, excitement running through them at the prospect of bringing the town together for a grand celebration, and by doing it via a grand quest to save the town from a lack of holiday cheer nonetheless. They had an objective and a timer. They were ready to start. "So," the stallion said, "you two have to go to every family in town and ask them to join in the hearthwarming celebration tomorrow night. We'll need a huge tree and plenty of lights." Their goals were ready, set, and go. They were already devising the route across town, and they were allowed to stay out after dark and collect what they needed. Even after a tiring day of play for these colts, they were ready to give it their all. And remember, have fun, you two. They shot into town, heading to their closest objective, Evergreen Lights, the town's forester. Heading to her shop is an easy enough task. With it being on the edge of town, they could just skirt around, stopping by a few houses to invite them to join the celebration, where it was easy enough to convince them. When they arrived at Evergreen's home, Sky spoke up. "So, if this is our item, it's been really easy so far, then it'll get harder as we get closer to the inn?" replied Coco. "Huh, we could take a challenge, right? Yeah, we're big and strong, we can take on anything." The Colts were indeed big and strong, in their heads, which was good enough for them, and good enough for the town. They both headed forward to the old wooden door, which seemed huge to them, and in fact it was. The two colts mumbled back and forth over who would knock first, but after enough, they both decided to do it together. After a few moments and some fading hope, they could hear hoofsteps coming to the door before it opened to shine light onto a green mare with a bright smile. Sorry, we're. She looked down at the two colts, not expecting them to be here at this hour, to their knowledge. Oh my. Well, I was about to close up for tonight, but what may I do for you two colts at this hour? They both smiled wide and began explaining to the mayor their grand plan for the town and for the hearth-warming party. The mayor played along with a giddy smile and let the colts in for some hot chocolate to aid them in their quest. It'll be the best hearth-warming ever, they shouted in unison as they got to the end of their conversation and the bottom of their drinks. Well, you two are obviously more than enough in love with the idea, so let's make it a reality, huh? Evergreen said with a smile. She got up, and with a motion of her forehoof she led them out behind her shop, where she had plenty of hearth-warming trees awaiting pickup. In the center of them was a particularly big tree. In reality, it was just cut too long, but the colts saw it as destiny, and as a sign that, by Celestia, this hearth-warming would be the best. The next objective was going to be tougher. It was on the other side of town. The two colts puffed out their chests and split up. It was their only shot to get to every house in town before they really needed to run home. Dropping by houses one after one took away time. Even as they stayed easy to convince, especially when the other fillies and colts chimed in against their parents, the clock ticked down as they finally arrived across town to the one place that would for sure sell hearth-warming lights, Snowflower's general store. Now, Snowflower was normally a florist, but when the town grew years ago, her shop was converted to the town's first general store for every pony's needs, especially flowers. The two colts knocked on the front door rapidly, hoping that Snowflower was still awake. The two colts couldn't contain their anxiousness, nearly bouncing around in front of the shop waiting for an answer. The sound of a creaky door gave them an unreasonable amount of relief, as they wasted no time and gave Snowflower the rundown on their quest to save the town. After Snowflower took far too long to decide for their comfort, she agreed to their proposal, but only if they helped her clean up afterwards. They hated chores, but it was a sacrifice that they were willing to make for the town. They ran off to home as fast as they could, which now wasn't very fast, and through their tiredness, they pushed harder and harder to the finish line. They collapsed in exhaustion when a burst of warm air from the cabin greeted them, capping off a memorable night. As their parents tucked in their victorious little colts, they snickered back and forth, settling the last of the gifts under their own tree. And the colts dreamt of their victory. They dreamt of that spire of a tree hoisted with lights and baubles from every pony in town. There was nothing that would stop tomorrow from being the best hearth-warming ever, no matter what. Chapter 2. No matter what. Sky bounced around the house hearth-warming morning, his family already up and at it, awaiting hot chocolates to get up and at him. Coco took a moment longer to get up and rode in on the back of his father into the cabin's living room, where they had set up their tree together. After the two families came together for breakfast, they all crowded the trees and wrapping paper flew. The exchanges of gifts barely awaiting each other's turn to end, and the happy chaos of hearth-warming filled their home. The colts played with new toys and gadgets while feigning interest in their new winter clothes and accessories. The mares oohed and awed at their new jewelries, clothes, and perfumes, while nearly smothering their colts in hugs over small, loving mementos. The stallions also played with their new toys and oohed at their new gadgets. They came together in happy revelry. They hugged and talked about their gifts with no restraint, but these gifts were only one part of the grandness of today. Once it got late, night came. All of the town came out, surrounding the new lit-up tree in the middle of their quaint little village, and gave cheers to the two colts who made this happen. They lifted them up and paraded around the tree as music played and the town partied. A secret the stallions came together for a grand finale, which was revealed for the entire town to enjoy, a fireworks show. The sky lit up in glory, and cheers followed. S'mores and more filled the mouths of every pony as they hung around the tree late into the night. Sky Chaser and Hot Chocolate sat together on the edge part of town, watching the tree slowly change color from the lights as fireworks lit up above the town. "I think we did pretty good," mumbled the Earth Colt with a satisfied smile. "I do too," said the Pegasus Colt, putting his small wing on the back of his friend. "I don't know how we're gonna do better next year." The Earth Colt chuckled, tucking into his friend with a slight shiver. "We will. I just know it." "Oh yeah? How so?" "I don't know exactly, silly. I just do. No matter what." "I like that. No matter what." To be continued in Anniversary. Author's Note. Thank you so much for listening and reading along if you did. My name's Fiction, the fictional writer, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.